Father to the fatherless, defender of widows. This is God, whose dwelling is holy. Psalm 68, verse 5. Well, good morning, brothers and sisters. This is Pastor Kevin of Marticville United Methodist Church, and talk about a verse that is 100% speaking to the character of God. This is a verse that really just does a fantastic job of telling us who God is and what God does, and is so much more than we expect. Then we don't anticipate this kind of character sometimes, I think, from God, and or we forget the kind of things that God does and what He desires, and we just forget who God is. And so a passage like this that comes along that reminds us of some of the aspects of God's character that are just so amazing. Father to the fatherless, defender of widows, whose dwelling is holy. I mean, that is just something that is so completely set apart from the nature of this world, this broken world in which we live, that it's hard to fathom, it's hard to understand. A God who wants to be a father to those who don't really have earthly fathers, a God who wants to take that place, a God who wants to defend widows who would be essentially people cast aside by society that would end up living in poverty without anyone looking after them. And then not only that, a God who is set apart. So this God who is set apart because He is holy is also the same God who wants to care for us at such an intimate level. And that's not something that's really going to make sense to the wisdom of this world, but it makes sense in the context of God's kingdom. And brothers and sisters, that's what we need to understand about God's character. He is so different from what we perceive, not only in this world, but also what we perceive Him to be sometimes. We need to take a step back and look at verses like Psalm 68 and remind ourselves who God is. What are His character traits? How does He interact with us? How does He want to interact with us? What do we mean to Him? What should He mean to us? These are things that we should know and understand. And I would encourage you to spend some time in the Psalms, because so much of God's character and how He interacts with us, how He loves us, is so well defined in the words of David and others in the book of Psalms. So by all means, spend some more time there. Get to know who God is, because you can't have a relationship with someone who you don't know. Plainly put, if we don't know Him, if we don't understand who He is, it's just like our own family. We can't have a relationship with friends and family if we don't know who they are, if we don't understand their character, if we can't relate. We can't relate to God if we don't know who He is and what His character is like. And the only way to do that is by getting to know Him. And there's very few places that it's easier to get to know Him than in the book of Psalms. So I would encourage you, spend some time there, brothers and sisters. Get to know God. In fact, if you would leave a comment today, let us know something interesting that you learned about God's character that you've read in the book of Psalms. I would love that. Share that with us in the comments on Facebook or on YouTube. Be sure to like and share the video so that other people can get to know God, get to understand His character. Always remember, brothers and sisters, that God loves you. We love you. Take care.